Hello, everyone. I all hope you had a very, very much of a wonderful, great day and a very much of a blessed day indeed, guys. Well, as you can see, guys, today's weather is a bit quietly cloudy as it is as well, but it's literally unmuch. It's literally, as in literally much, and it's truly, literally much unpredictable as well. But regardless of that, guys, I'm exactly here today in order to shoot the next of our episode as well. Guys, I am so completely, superly, efficiently grateful for your guys' support in literally staying with me on my journey. It remarkably means so much to me. I am completely grateful for your guys' support and you guys watching and viewing from YouTube and from TikTok, from shorts and from long videos, and from those of you who are also subscribing. It completely means a lot to me. May God bless you all and may God stay with you all and may God also stay with you all and protect you in everything else that you guys are doing as well. And also know that, guys, I'm also rooting for you guys as well, and I'm also very quietly hopeful for you guys as well in order to do in whatever it is that you guys are doing as well. And may you stay true and stay happy. On today's episode, we're to speak about the wild archers, who are a group of who are very very sinister, who are very ancient, who are very sinister, ancient, shadowy, elite criminal organization of terrorists who work on the behalf of another, who work on the behalf on another ancient organization, who work on the behalf on another ancient elite criminal organization known as the Order of Power. That's quietly founded and led by Lord Jet, who is the new Lord of Magic, with the sole goal of exterminating and wiping out the supernaturals, aliens, superhumans, Phoenician hunters, the universal heroes, in the process to further his own plans and goals, to further his ultimate goal and plans for soul universal, for sacred universal dominance over his people and his kind as well. And the wild archers are a very sinister, deadly group of deadly group of a deadly group of elite of an elite criminal, of an elite shadowy criminal, of deadly and very powerful, formidable assassins that work on the behalf of the Order of Power. They've been working on the behalf of the original Lord of Magic since he began reigning and ruling and controlling the Shadow Empire during the ancient times and during the primordial days as well. The Wild Archers are a very formidable group of deadliest and the most powerful, fanatical, wildest, greatest assassins, feared and known for their reputation in killing and destroy, in killing and assassination, and also in hunting down many powerful mythical creatures throughout the entire sacred magical worlds, and especially within the sacred magic dimension. The organization's goal is to seize power, to conquer many known worlds, and to controlling humanity from within, from human governments and politicians as well. And the other goal is to make sure that the Order of Power, who are the most powerful, sinister, ancient masterminds, exactly remain in control and in power over the sacred universe and over the sacred world as well. And the last goal is for them to seizing money and also influence through humanity's wars and conflicts, so they can also exactly find a way to eradicate the supernaturals, aliens, superhumans, Phoenician hunters in a very faster way to proceed in order to speed up the process of their plans and of their goals as well. Let's exactly get started. On the ancient times, on the great ancient times, when the original Lord of Magic was in power, the Wild Archers were quietly founded by the original Lord of Magic, by the original Lord of Magic's left hand man, who gradually exactly led them with great exceptional great authority. He trained the assassins in archery, bow and archery and swordsmanship and all of that. The assassins fanatically grew very much quietly and rose to the occasion, and also ascended to the occasion with their greatest abilities and talents and powers, as there were thousands and many of them to be proven enough as an army of deadly greater assassins. At that rate, within the ancient times, the original Lord of Magic wanted to use the Wild Archers in order to complete his next phase of the plan, in order to obtaining enough money for his goal and for his mission, which which after all his left hand man began, which is after all his which after all his left hand man began exactly assigning the assassins to assassinate every alien criminal leader and formation hunter elder and consul within the process, which is exactly what they did. The assassination of the most powerful sacred political leaders of the other clans and warring nations attracted the attention of the Four Nation Hunters, and as well of the ancient champions of the origin, in order for them to take a stand against these assassins, which they realized they were fighting a deadly, sinister, shadowy criminal elite organization known as the Wild Archers. They began exactly taking them down by realizing that the Wild Archers are very too many and also too powerful assassins as well over time. The left-hand man of the original Little Magic told the original Little Magic that the origins are well aware and the Four Nation Hunters are well aware of the elite of the greatest enforcers, of the greatest shadowy enforcers, and of the greatest assassins. And the original Little Magic told his left-hand man that it's best that the Wild Archers remain under a microscope and continue to operate within the shadows of the sacred universe in order for them to return when the time is right. Meaning, in other words, the organization had to be disbanded completely, as in permanently. Throughout the following ancient centuries, the Wild Archers continued their training, and also all their training in a great central headquarters, which was one of the most powerful strongholds, of volcanic, which was one of the most powerful strongholds of the volcanic islands, where the left hand man of the original Little Magic used those bases of operation for the Wild Archers to exactly train, and also to maintaining the basis of operation as well during the ancient times. They continued to exactly training, also continued to doing little small missions and jobs as well over time, and they began recruiting sinister, powerful, formidable criminals as well, such as Wild Master, who became the new sensei and mentor over the assassins, and began educating them in a proper way, and also training them in a very, very proper, open-minded way, by guiding them in a righteous way, and also in a very destructive way as well, which he also began taking control of the operations and also of the reconnaissance mission that the assassins will be hired to do as well. 3 or 4 assassins will be hired over time throughout the following stages of the Sacred Dark Wars and conflicts of the events of the Sacred Dark Wars and conflicts of events that are quite been led, and some of them will remain in the headquarters in order for them to continue their training, and also to continue their training and their practices as well. Over the following centuries and years, the Wild Master continued exactly recruiting more dangerous, secretive and shadowy criminals in order to join the Wild Archers to help grow the elite criminal organization to a higher standards, which it continued to exactly rising to the occasion as well. For the past few centuries after the ancient times had passed within the sacred world and within the sacred universe, the Wild Archers grew in numbers, as they literally grew as a pair of a flock of great, an army of formidable assassins and soldiers and warriors of their kinds, in another different volcanic base of a stronghold, where they were all exactly quietly elite and fully ready. Each member of the Wild Archers wore a very powerful, sinister, shadowy, magical crystal ring, which signifies the telepathic communication, or they can easily summon one of the other members in a shadowy holographic form, so that they can easily speak to each other in total secrecy and also within the shadows. Despite that, the Wild Archers grew in number, as the left-hand man of the original Little Magic told Wild Master that the organization is still disbanded, but the followers of the Wild Archers are still willing to be recruited. So into doing so, he told them to continue the organization's operation in full secrecy and within the shadows. That by doing so, when the time is right for them to exactly, when the Wild Archers have to return to serve the new Little Magic, or the original they will exactly be called upon. Wild Master completely agreed on that as well. Within the next following centuries, the Wild Archers continue to recruiting more and more deadly criminals, such as Wild Girl and Wild Boy, who joined the organization for their own sinister reasons, and goal. Wild Girl had her own reasons for joining with the organization. She became a very, very, very fledgling true prodigy as she rose to the occasion, as also did Wild Boy, and Wild Master realizes that the other assassins can also rise to the occasion through to their dedication, and also to their martial artist skills and their exceptional martial artist skills and their great hand-in-hand in combat skills as well. Despite that, over time, the Wild Archers and the other members grew very quietly, powerful and dangerous and very sinister, as they were quietly given secretive assignments and shadowy assignments to kill and assassinate the leaders of the Four Nation Hunters once and for all, which they were able to do, which still practically drew the unwanted attention of the Four Nation Hunters in order to track them down and also to taking them down once and for all. The Four Nation Hunters tracked down the central headquarters of the Wild Archers base of operation, and thousands of them as their armies and ships literally head towards that base of operation and fought up against them. The battle between good and evil, with the organization fighting up against another ancient race of an organization of Four Nation Hunter, grew dramatically too destructive and too powerful, as the original left-hand man of the Lord of Magic realizes that the Wild Archers are hereby no longer no use to the original Lord of Magic, as his goals and mission have now begun to successfully bear fruit, meaning their resources will no longer exactly be any use to him other way. After that, he disappeared, and Wild Master told the other assassins to disappear and also to retreat, while he destroyed the central headquarters, which was quietly close to the volcanic volcano, which was able to use the high level altitude of the lava to destroy everything within its grasp. So Four Nation Hunters were forced to retreat and evacuate. So were the dozens Wild Archers and assassins, which are completely able to do so, and the entire island exploded and was completely eradicated and erased of the evidence of the Wild Archers being discovered or ever seen again. Throughout the near to the modern age of the modern centuries of the sacred world, the Wild Archers began recreating a powerful network of deadly assassins and creating powerful influence to manipulating sinister prominent of greater individuals throughout the sacred world's warring stages of the sacred great nations and of the tribes and of the clans, in order for them to have more control and more power than ever before, which attracted more attention to them literally officially welcoming new members to the organization itself as well. Regardless of that, many more began to join the Wild Archers as the organization began to be reformed and to be reformed in a modern and advanced way, but the old ways still remained with them, with the new ways which they were able to adapt and to officially create themselves as well. And Wild Master was very much intrigued that the assassins have managed to find a way to evolve and also to adapt to their potential, as there were dozens of them, meaning millions of them began to join the cause and the organization's goals, believing in the organization's goals and its philosophy and its true mission as well. They still joined, and Wild Master was very much pleased with the recruitment and with the followers who began joining the organization itself as well. On the actual 25 of February, when news of the Universal Heroes' disappearance across the entire sacred universe, since they were fighting a powerful, sinister galactic threat on the other side, another sinister galactic threat on the other side of the sacred universe, which created a huge cosmic explosion, resulting in them being rumored to be dead or either to be missing as well. During which, on that time, Wild Master began to exactly meet up with the wild archers on the new base on a new basis of operation, where he told the assassins that the original Lord of Magic has passed away and that the universal heroes have now disappeared, which means, in other words, they'll have to continue on the organization's goals and mission to an actual new modern way, and also to an advanced way as well. On the actual 19th of March, Lord Jet, the new Lord of Magic, represented himself to Wild Master on the headquarters of the Wild Archers organization, where he told Wild Master that the Wild Archers will be working on the behalf of the Order of Power, meaning, in other words, they'll be working on the behalf of the new Lord of Magic and his associates and his organization's goals and belief as well, which means, in other words, the organization of the Wild Archers work on behalf of the organization of the new Lord of Magic, known as Lord Jet. Despite that, Wild Master began to bow down to Lord Jet, as he told him that the Wild Archers are definitely at the service of the Order of Power and of the new Lord of Magic as well. Regardless of that, Jet exactly told Wild Master when the time is right, he will need to assign the assassins on a dangerous, remarkable mission, one that might determine the fate of the sacred universe once and for all as well. After Lord Jet met up with Wild Master, the meeting was quietly confirmed that the Wild Archers will continue to serve the new Lord of Magic and working on the behalf of his organization known as the Order of Power, and the other leaders of the organization as well. Regardless of that, after that, they departed and they were never quietly seen again. Throughout the following months have passed, the Wild Archers continued their training and they given assignments as well. On the actual 25 of August, Lord Clay exactly hired the Wild Archers on a very powerful, destructive mission to wipe out the Universal, defending heroes once and for all, before he was actually demoted. He told Wild Master that he needs the Wild Archers to wipe out the Universal defending heroes once and for all. How he does it or how they actually do it doesn't exactly concern him, but all that matters is that the threat must be completely terminated. It poses too much of a threat to his goals and to his plans. Wild Master continued to agree on that point, as he also began to agree on that level, on that expertise, on his point of view as well. On the 29th of November, on the 29th of September, Wild Master began to meet up with Wild Girl and with Wild Boy on the headquarters of the Wild Archers, on the headquarters of the Wild Archers base of operation, where Wild Girl began to ask Wild Master what is the true assignment. Wild Master began to tell Wild Girl and Wild Boy that the true assignment will actually take place on November, which means that whatever it is they're doing, they must please Lord Jet and his powerful associate, and making sure that Lord Clay and the rest of his associates are very well pleased with the mission, meaning, in other words, it cannot fail regardless of that, as they all began to agree on that. On the actual 29th of October, Wild Master began to exactly inform the entire organization of the Assassins of the Wild Archers on the central headquarters, which is another different volcanic island base, which is very, very huge and very big, enough to house houses and villages and all of that, and also to have an entire big fortress of a mansion of a house, in order to specifically show that the Wild Archers are in power and also exceptionally dangerous and very modified with extreme dangerous, deadly weapons of their own making as well. Regardless of that, Wild Master began to tell the entire organization of the Wild Archers that their true assignment and mission will begin to take place on November as we begin to announce to them that they now in service of the new Lord of Magic and of the Masters of the Order of Power, which means in other words, they'll be working on the behalf of them as they continue to do so with the original Lord of Magic. The assassins all agree that they'll do whatever it takes in order to serve the new Lord of Magic and the rest of the new masters and the rest of the new masters and leaders of the Order of Power, as it was stated long centuries ago and during the ancient times as well. On the actual 29th of November, a group of deadly mercenaries who are highly equipped with destructive and more compatible technology of the Shadow Empire's technology were well equipped and ready to destroy the Universal Defending Heroes once and for all. When the Universal Defending Heroes entered another abandoned world and planet that was quietly filled with many abandoned factories and all of that. The assassins were heavily equipped with destructive and more compatible technology than ever before. Wild Master and Wild Girl revealed themselves on the edges of the mountain, telling the Universal Defending Heroes that their jurisdiction is hereby completely terminated and that they'll fully be assassinated. The assassins and mercenaries were fully backed up by the other Shadow Empire warlords and by the other operatives of criminals who also were the operatives of the Order of Power, who also joined in on the ambush to permanently wipe out and remove the Universal Defending Heroes out of the way. The Universal Defending Heroes realized that they were completely ambushed by the worst, deadliest mercenaries and assassins that were completely unknowns to them, and they decided in order to take the battle straightly to their new opponents and to their new adversaries, which the battle began taking place as the Universal Heroes were able to gain victory against their new adversaries, initially defeating the assassins and the mercenaries and the other Shadow Empire warlords and commanders in a battle. Wild Master began to disappear within a battle, but Wild Girl and Wild Boy continue focusing their battle against the Universal Defending Heroes known as Lytrus and Kevin and Noah and Lay and the other members of the Universal Defending Heroes, which they continue to fighting up against them until they realize that they're completely evenly matched up against them. Wild Girl disappeared within a battle, so did Wild Boy as well. They disappeared within a battle. The other assassins were literally taken into custody, and so the other mysterious Shadow Empire warlords and the other secretive criminals who are also operatives of the Order of Power were taken into custody and sentenced directly to the Astral Prison to remain in the Astral Prison for their crimes against the sacred world and against the rest of humanity as well. The Astral Prison is actually a prison designed to house super criminals and powerful war criminals and evil super heroes and deadly evil warlocks and warlords and commanders and deadly criminals and evil supervillains and evil dark magic users and witches and all of that. One of the worst of the worst are meant to be sent there, as well as the Dark Ark, as well as the Sacred Prison, which is also another different prison, which is also capable of housing supervillains and evil superheroes and rogue powerful warlords and Shadow Empire commanders and deadly assassins as well. Regards to their defeat, the Universal Defending Heroes didn't realize that the wild assassins were completely released from their custody within the Astral Prison to rejoin the other assassins due to an inside operative who was also able to benefit more power and more influence to his connection, to the connection that he shared with the original associates of the original Lord of Magic. He was able to release the mercenaries and the assassins except for the operatives who had to remain there due to his connection to the original Lord of Magic's associate and his greater successors. He was able to release them in full secrecy in order to keep them, in order to make sure their connection and their secret connection remain the same, as remain undiscovered and remain unbothered as well. On the 16th of December, Wild Girl and Wild Boy told Wild Master on the actual headquarters of the Wild Archers base of operation, that they're hereby defecting from the organization and that they're leaving it completely. But before they can actually leave, two wild assassin and the third wild assassin began attacking them with their swords and with their weapons and with their guns and weapons in order to kill the two traders and the defectors. But the two traders and defectors planted bombs all over the island in order to cover up the escape, and Wildmaster was very reluctantly pleased to see two members defecting, which has never actually happened. He understood why they defected and he literally respected the decision, and he didn't try to fight them or try to apprehend them or try to kill them. He just let them walk away. Due to the smoke screen of the explosion around the island close to the sea, he was able to exactly make sure that the two defectors were, after all, left alive and completely was actually able to make sure that the defection actually was a real defection and that their death was actually signed. But he was very well known that the two defectors were still out there alive, but they were barely able to, that they still actually survived the explosion that they actually created, and that they're still out there, and he was still happy of that as well. On the actual 29th of January, Wildmaster began to actually realize his place within the organization since seeing the organization's goals and mission taking a very, very destructive turn in order the organization's goals are headed to a destructive and more powerful turn. He decided also to defect and leave the organization as well for his own reason and for his own purposes. After that, he left and literally defected from the island and literally abandoned it as well, completely, without telling or saying anyone else a word from it as well. Between February and March, the new sensei and mentor and the new leader of the Wild Archers was Tier Man, who is a member of the Order of Power, began leading the organization through his great authority of ruthlessness and of brutality, as new members of the Wild Archers began joining and working on the behalf of the Order of Power to furthering the Order of Power's goals and mission and the long-term plan for it to successfully bear fruit. Tierman began leading the organization in a more profound way and in the old ways of the organization's old ways and also of his ancient ways, which he began using, and of his new strategy and orchestration ways, which he began leading it in a very destructive and more sufficient and highly advanced new way. And the Wild Archers began to respect Tierman as the new leader of the organization, as a high-ranking member of the Order of Power, of the Order of Power as well. Many others defected from the organization between February and March, as they all secretly left, while the others left by creating explosives and a very, very powerful explosive, a very powerful fail-safe explosive in order to protect themselves from being killed, due to them actually being called out as traitors and also as well as defectors, in order to actually hide themselves and conceal themselves, since they found a different way to live in a sacred world, or to try to restore balance and peace to the sacred world's conflicts and wars and battles and events that are still going on as well. On the actual 15th of April, Tierman exactly began to introduce himself to the entire group of assassins of the Wild Archers, and told them that he's hereby the new leader and that he's a member of the Order of Power, and he also is very much quite a powerful associate of the new Lord of Magic known as Lord Jet, and that these assassins will be trained and led by the new mentor and sensei known as the other Sacred Master, which is his name is quietly still unknown, which I haven't actually able to come up with his perfect name yet, but he's a very dangerous and sinister criminal, or he's either a she or him. But regardless of that, the new Sacred Master began revealing himself as he told the assassins that he or she will be training them under the guidance of their leadership, and then he will lead them with the accessible skills and all of that. And the assassins all began to agree with that, as are all happy with the decision. Tierman also told them that they still continue to work on the behalf of the Order of Power and also on the behalf of the new Lord of Magic, as it was stated, and it will still remain the same. And that the goals of the two organizations are still specifically aligned with the goals of the Order of Power, which will still remain the same as well. On the actual 25 of June, the Wild Archers, some of the other members of the Wild Archers were sent into the sacred conference where the Four Nation Hunters, elders and leaders and other leaders of the sacred leaders of the warring nation began to meet up on a beautiful sacred island, that's quietly in the middle of the other islands of the sacred, on the other islands of the sacred countries of the warring on the sacred countries of the sacred great nations countries, which were able to meet up there, as they all exactly began to meet up until the Wild Archers began attacking them and accusing them of profiting from the wars, of profiting from profiting from the wars of suffering of others, as they began to tell them that they're willing to kill them and that they're willing to purposely execute them. Due to that, the Universal Founders and the World Heroes intervened just in the nick of time to save the elderly council leaders of the Four Nation Hunters and of the other sacred great nations, the sacred great nations of the other elders and leaders, just in the nick of time due to the interference. They battled with the assassins just for a short period of time until the assassins completely retreated. They managed to capture the others and literally managed to capture and apprehend the others, but the others managed to completely still able to escape as well. On their way after their great defeat on a secretive battle cruiser, the other members of the Wild Archers began actually making contact with the mysterious hired associate, who the mysterious hired associate was able to project a powerful obstruction of light within the computer in order to conceal himself. The Wild Archers told the mysterious associate that they completely failed with their debacle and with all their work in trying to prevent the conference from taking place. The mysterious associate in a powerful obstruction of light reassured the Wild Archers that their work and that their mission and that their collaboration did the opposite, which gratefully benefited them in many numerous ways. Now the Order of Power can begin exactly taking control of the sacred elections that are about to be held up by the great elderly councils of the great nations of the sacred world, which means, in other words, the organization will benefit 10 times by stripping them of power and of their great connections and influence, which in theory will give them access to controlling humanity on the outside of the solar system in a very faster way, which will speed up the progress of the plan and of its goal, as he began to reassure the two wild assassins that the debacle did the opposite and it actually paid off in many ways that they could never actually see it coming. On the 26th of July, on the actual 26th of July, Wildmaster began to return to the same headquarters and found and discovered that it was quietly highly modified with highly upgraded security, but discovered that there were no assassins or mercenaries until he was quietly, literally ambushed by a few members of the Wild Archers, and he began to telling the Wild Archers that he still is their mentor and he still is their sensei, until the new mentor and sensei stepped into the shadows and told Wildmaster that he is hereby no longer the sensei of the organization, or either the sensei or the leader of the organization anymore, that the organization has taken a directive turn and a different approach to furthering its goals and its mission. Wildmaster began to exactly compliment the new sensei and the new mentor of the organization, stated to him that the new Lord of Magic didn't make a big mistake in making her the great new sensei, since he has heard great destructive, evil stories about her reputation, being rumored as being rumored as one of the sacred world's deadliest and greatest assassin ever viewed and ever known. Regardless of that, she told Wild Master that the wild assassins, the wild archers will not kill you or rather wipe you out. They just want to know what exactly doing back in the original headquarters of the assassins. That's all they need to know. Wild Master began telling the new sensei of the wild archers that he's only came here to pay off his debt and also the rest of his grievances. That's all he's here to do. The other wild archers began disappearing from the shadows, as so did the new sensei. After that, Wild Master began taking a tour of the entire volcanic island, which was after all the previous central headquarters that was quietly wiped out by the lava of the volcano, and began to realize that it's still exactly the same, that except that it's been upgraded and highly been different in meaning in other words, the assassins are now beginning to adapt to the new ways, which means that this new sensei and this new leader they've found a very, very mysterious way to make sure that this island is still highly operational, but in total secrecy and also in the shadows as well. On the 15th of August, the new sensei trained the few members of the wild archers in swordsmanship training on a very very different island. This time the island was quietly in the middle of the ocean. This time the island was quietly in the middle of the ocean, on the sacred ocean, on a great sacred of oceans that had powerful two ancient statues in the middle of the ocean. One statue had the statue of the original Lord of Magic, and the other statue had the statue of the previous wild assassin of the wild archers, which was quietly revealed to be a powerful prodigy of the original Lord of Magic as well, which I'll tell you about him a different day in another different time. Regardless of that, the new sensei began instructing the new assassins on a swordsmanship combat training, while she was quietly well aware that they were quietly being watched by the other allies of the universal heroes known as the Sacred Team, which she began actually leading the session in a very more destructive but in a very much more calm way. On that very night, the sacred team began literally trying to leave the island with the recovered information on all the database until Tierman and the new sensei and the new ally began revealing themselves to the heroes, telling them they've been well aware that they've been on the island since they've entered it, and they told them that no one in this island enters without them knowing. Regardless of that, the heroes exactly complimented them for their great perception, for their great perceptionary sensory perception and their skill set in knowing who enters the island, and they decided to fight them in hand-to-hand combat while the others fought in swordsmanship. The battle lasted for a second until a very small black jet or one of the sacred heroes' jet began blowing up the island security and all of its mainframe until they exactly began to escaping on that very day. The new sensei and the member of the Order of Power began to realize that the universal heroes are now becoming an annoyance and are becoming a very dreadful annoyance, and that they must be neutralized one way or another, otherwise their goals will not successfully bear fruit. On the actual 29th of September, Tierman exactly met up with the sensei of the wild archers on a different base of operations of the wild archers organization, and began telling her that the wild archers need to be highly recuperated and ready for the next efficiency of their mission, which this time will be their last of the mission. Until then, they'll be hired to continue on with a different mission and a different assignment, which is quite a good idea on how to use them for their last mission. The new sensei began listening on Tierman's greatest lessons, and also on his advice on how to actually use the assassins for one last debacle of an attack. On the actual 20th of October, the members of the sacred warring countries of the members of the sacred great nation began exactly housing a summit underneath the underneath the island, underneath an ancient island where they were all exactly present with all the representative of the Star Empire's warlords and some of the other Shadow Empire warlords and some of the other members of the Four Nation Hunters were also present to discuss the serious wars and battles of good and evil and forces of evil fighting amongst each other, which it began to spiral over control. Unbeknownst to them, the assassins were quietly, heavily in disguise and in camouflage of the other representative as they all began to reveal themselves and told the leaders of the Four Nation Hunters and the representative that they're here to purposely execute them until Tierman began revealing themselves and told the leaders of the sacred countries and told the leaders of the sacred great nation of the Four Nation Hunters that their day is hereby ended. And also unbeknownst to Tierman, Universal Man began revealing himself through the disguise of the Four Nation Hunter Elder, and so did the original members of the Universal Heroes and their allies began revealing themselves. Tierman told Universal Man that he was very quietly amazed that he literally did underestimate the Universal Heroes, but this time he said no more, as the Order of Power and the Wild Assassins and the Wild Archers will purposely wipe them out. He brought more Wild Archers of Assassins to purposely wipe out the Universal Heroes and their allies once and for all. They battled astronomically underneath the cave of the island and fought as Tierman fought up against the battle against Universal Man and realized that he was completely evenly matched up against him. Universal Man told Tierman that Lord Jet is nothing but cruel and nothing but literally cruel and nothing but a waste of a potential that he can actually become the new Lord of Magic, that he doesn't exactly have what it takes. Tierman exactly told the new Universal Man that Lord Jet is the leader and founder of the Order of Power and that he's more powerful and more dangerous than the previous original Lord of Magic, and that it would be wise not to underestimate his power and his great perception. After that, he disappeared within the cave and the other assassins were completely taken down and literally sent back to the Astral Prison to remain in custody. The Universal Heroes and the other allies began celebrating their victories as they realized that it's not far from completely over as well. On the actual 26th of November, the new Lord of Magic, Lord Jet, and the members of the Order of Power were quietly on top of the asteroid base as it began releasing a powerful blue crystal of energy, which began creating a frequency of sonic power, which all the volcanoes of the supernatural worlds and countries began activating in order for him to wipe out the supernaturals and the aliens and the superhumans in the process and out of the way completely. The Wild Archers were literally dispatched to literally help destroy them and also completely wipe them out, as the World Heroes and the Universal Heroes and the United Heroes and the Four Nation Hunters were dispatched to taking down the assassins, as the others focused their battle with the members of the Order of Power, as the members of the Order of Power began literally disappearing and conjuring up one of their disappearance in order to literally vanish and disappear from the asteroid base. Jet disappeared, as well as the other members. Warlord Death was completely complacently ruthless and relentless as he decided to fight the heroes head on as a member of the Order of Power, but he was quietly defeated as he also disappeared when the asteroid base was completely destroyed and the assassins were captured, and the natural disasters that the new Lord of Magic and his powerful associate tried to start it were completely stopped and foiled for trying to wipe out the supernaturals, aliens, and superhumans in the process, thanks to the interventions of the Universal Heroes and of the other allies of the Universal Heroes as well. On the actual 20th of February, Tierman met up with Lord Jet on his central headquarters of the Wild Archers base, and Lord Jet told Tierman that his assassins are very quietly powerful and formidable, and that he will still need them, and that they will continue serving and working on behalf of the Order of Power. And Tierman began to tell Lord Jet they'll always do and they'll always have. And Lord Jet shook hands with his ancient, long-time associate and told him that he's officially and always will be a member of the Order of Power. And so did Tierman. Before they can actually disappear, a shadow holographic figure began reappearing from the other side of the crystal cave, and told the two most powerful, dangerous associate that they are also as well in favor and also as well associate of Lord Jet and the members of the Order of Power. And now they told each other that their plans can now begin to successfully bear fruit, as they all began to agree on that as well. Despite that, guys, the Wild Archers are very dangerous, deadliest, shadowy elite criminal of an organization that was quietly led and founded many centuries ago throughout the ancient times of the Sacred Wars and conflict, led by a powerful, dangerous member and a former leader of the organization known as the left hand man of the original Lola Magic. He used the organization's greatest shadowy resources to exterminate and to wipe out any threat that might pose a way to the original Lola Magic's goals and mission as well. Also, the original Lola Magic was able to use the assassin's darkest resources and unlimited resources to further his goals and plans. But over time and over the great magical ancient century, he began to realize that the organization doesn't exactly serve any purpose to his mutual goal, but he told his left-hand man to disband the organization, as he also did. But regardless of that, the left-hand man also kept the organization going and running throughout the shadows of the Sacred World. Unbeknownst to the Phoenician hunters, they were completely a surprise to him that the Wild Archers were never known to them or anything else to them, since they were a very dangerous organization of shadowy assassins with the dedication and goal to making sure that the goal of the original Lord of Magic and of his successors successfully bear fruit, as well as their goals as well in controlling other worlds and other sacred countries and nations in the process as well. Despite this organization is very ancient and very powerful, possesses greater resources and connections throughout humanity, and especially within humanity, within the human government and within the sacred government, and also possesses connections on powerful influence within the sacred criminal underworld, which makes them dangerous and very powerful. The Phoenician Hunter, elders, and leaders told the Universal Heroes that the Wild Archers are a complete, total surprise to them, as they never knew about their existence, that they fought up against them during the ancient times, and they were thought that they were just some punk assassins doing some dirty work, but they never realized that they'll be this powerful and also this dangerous. They are an army. They are unofficially a dangerous, deadly army of assassins. There's been 10,000 of them, many of them, due to them remaining ancient in a very shadowy criminal organization that specializes with the goal of seizing power, control, manipulation, influence, and greater goals that literally collaborate with the original World of Magic's goals, that makes the organization 10 times as invincible and also indestructible, due to having unlimited greater resources and greater powerful connections and resources as well, makes the Wild Archers very dangerous. They continued to work on the behalf of the original Lord of Magic, even if he disbanded them. They still continue to do so because they remained faithful and very much completely loyal to his goal. Whether they were quietly disbanded, they still managed to do so as well in the shadows, making sure that his reign and his power remained supreme and unmatched and uncontested and uncompetitive, and also unmatched and uncontested and also unchallenged and unworthy to be challenged. They still managed to do so, providing him endless connections through his left hand man, which they continue to do so through him. They managed to recruit powerful, deadly, sinister criminals to becoming their masters, and also the sensei. Wild Master was the first sensei and mentor of the Wild Archers. Then throughout the following years or the future years, when the Universal Heroes were quietly already formed and all of that, he began to stepping down and resigning from the organization's leadership, and so did the other two defectors known as Wild Girl and Wild Boy, which were recruited in a later year stages of the Sacred World, modern years, when they left their childhood homes and all of that in order to join the organization, granting them greater experience and knowledge about how the the organization works as well. They defected as well, which attracted many more attention of other defectors to defect, and also attracted many more attention of other powerful superstitious followers to join the organization, which began regrouping and highly re-evolving and becoming more powerful and more dangerous and more sinister in the process. The Wild Archers are very ambitious, very, very ambitious and well determined, a deadly dark organization that is also similar to the Noten Knights and to the Order of Darkness. Those two work on the behalf, the Order of Darkness works on the behalf of the founders, the Noten Knights works on the behalf of the Order of the Five. These three organizations are literally competing up against each other. Due to this of the competition, the Wild Archers have taken a different approach at the competitive game to remain the shadowy and most powerful undetected organization throughout Formation Hunter history, which makes them dangerous. And each assassin and each member of the organization bears a specialized gift and a talent and a greater abilities of their own. The assassins are very skilled in hand-to-hand combat, swordsmanship, marksmanship, agility, super strength, super speed, and also super strength and super speed. Some with magical powers, others with teleportation, others with web powers, others with opening portals, others with the power to conjure energy and abilities, others was very skilled in archery and in bow and arrow archery, which makes them the Wild Archers, are very exceptional Wild Archers and assassins due to their exceptional skills with bow and archery as well, which makes them exceptionally dangerous and very powerful as well, due to their skills in hand-to-hand combat and swordsmanship and also in archery. And also as well, they've been granted the most shadowy gifted ability of reappearing from the shadows and also disappearing as well by conjuring smoke screen to assign to show the enemies and the foes that they can actually disappear at will without being detected and without being traced. And each member bears a very signifying power of sensory perception, which they can sense an enemy from a 4-mile distance of a radius. They do have Formation Hunter powers and ability of long gravity and extremely of immortal powers as well, which makes them exceptionally dangerous. They're very good in maintaining the usual bases of operations as well as a central headquarters, which is a big, huge volcanic island, which has thousands of villages and a powerful mansion, a very powerful greater mansion of a monastery, which houses 10,000 of upgraded security cameras and highly leveled advanced technology, which is beyond the Shadow Empire's technology as well, which grants them the power and which grants them the ability and power to access dark and destructive compatible technology on their own accord as well. Their leadership has been led and being passed down by different powerful, sinister supervillains, such as Tierman, who's a high-ranking member of the Order of Power, is now the leader of the Wild Archers, and he will always remain so. Now, the Wild Archers believe in the ideals, and in the philosophy of the Order of Powers, on the Order of Powers goals and mission, and of the original Lord of Magic's goals and mission and plans, and they still do believe in them through Lord Jet, who is the new Lord of Magic as well. Regardless of that, they still believe in their goals and in their mission, and their goals are completely similar to the goals of the Order of Power, which makes them highly dangerous and very exceptionally powerful and very much deadly, not meant to be underestimated. Universal Man and the other members of the Universal Heroes were quietly shocked to discover that there's another terrorist, shadowy criminal organization of assassins that's quietly working on the behalf of the new Lord of Magic, known as Lord Jet, who is a founder and leader of this ancient secret society known as the Order of Power, and now it works on the behalf of the Order of Power, as I said before. They were very completely taken aback and very quietly surprised that the Wild Archers are extremely, exceptionally dangerous, not meant to be underestimated and not meant to be taken lightly again, since they fought against them and literally battled against them as well. The Wild Archers are very well great in adaptability and in the power of evolving themselves, and also very great with super agility and very great with being led by a powerful, sinister criminal, which they are very well known. They have a new sensei, which is a very powerful dark master. He is quietly a woman, one of the most deadliest secretive assassins feared in the entire sacred world throughout Formation Hunter history, who is rumored to be a dark Formation Hunter, but literally dangerous as well. She is the one who was elected and selected to become the new sensei of the Wild Archers, and she leads them and teaches them with exceptionally greater authority than ever before. Well, guys, that's it for today's episode. I'll see you tomorrow on Thursday. Have a wonderful, blessed day and all of that. Today's episode was about the Wild Archers that work on behalf of the Order of Power. That was today's episode. Now that you guys know the full scope, enjoy yourself and enjoy your day. Oh, one more thing. The Wild Archers actually remaining throughout sacred history makes their history and their origins literally completely concealed, which makes them literally unknown to their enemies. And their history about how they were rose and founded is a completely mystery. They are ancient, powerful paintings and carvings about the first Wild Archer, who was the greatest successor to the original Lord of Magic, who also rose to the occasion, managed to conceal his followers, which the Wild Archers remained, attracting many followers who also began serving them as their followers, due to them being founded by the most powerful, deadly, dark formation hunter of an assassin known as the first founding Wild Archer as well, who was the successor of the original Lord of Magic. Well, as I said before, their origins and their mystery is a complete, total, different, mysterious mystery. The Dark Druids and all the others know about their sacred history, and their paintings and the origins are sketched on the ancient crystal dark temples and caves of the powerful dark magical caves and temples throughout the sacred world and throughout the magical dimension itself as well, within the caves and walls, which are quietly very much ancient and very much prehistoric. Well, anyway, guys, that's it for today's episode. I appreciate your support. Continue to liking and subscribing. Have a wonderful, blessed day. Stay safe and love yourself. Literally enjoy yourself and take care. See you tomorrow and have fun. Bye. Bye.